Welcome, everybody, to the first episode in the world of video game music. And as you can tell by the intro, we're going to be talking about Castlevania, and specifically Castlevania 1, 2, Simon's Quest, and 3, Dracula's Curse. This is a new series that I got introduced to by one of the friends that I brought onto this panel today, and I've been blown away by how amazing the music is. And even though it's a older game series, the music still resonates really well after many, many, many years of it being around. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in my first guest, coming all the way from somewhere. We're going to bring in the Castlevania soundtrack. How's it going there, good sir? Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
And last but certainly not least, the one man who's actually responsible for getting me hooked into Castlevania. We've got Drunken Belmont himself to come slay Dracula for us.
Hello and welcome.
Good. Sound like a robot.
Yeah, you have to repeat that there, buddy.
Hello, everyone. How about now? Is that better?
That's good. That's good.
How's everyone doing this wonderful evening?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Just here to talk about music, chill out, relax, hang out with some people.
Hey, I'm all for it. So what did you have in mind, my good sir?
Well, like I already told them, and you already know about this, it's your fault that I'm hooked into Castlevania. I love the first two games. I'm still playing through the third game right now. I hope to play the rest of them, when I get the time. So I really want to talk about Castlevania. I want to talk about it with you because you've told me this is like a huge part of your childhood, and you get a lot of inspiration from it with your own music creation and stuff. So I figured you're the best person to have on here, and of course, Mr. Castlevania himself, who's the grand master of video games and music and stuff and lore. We got to have him here as well to lend his knowledge. So, but without further ado, I'll just quickly check the chat to see who's here. I see my one of my mods here, Steven Dueler. Thanks for coming out, dude. And Pop Culture Mechanic, who told me that he loved playing through Castlevania 2. And he said that's one of his, favorite Castlevania games. So good to see you, too. I know more people will probably show up here in a minute. But without further ado, let's just jump into I want to give off like a quick history of the game, specifically like the first game and the latest game, and then we're going to talk about the composers because I want to always recognize the wonderful people that develop this music, and it's important to give them credit. So let me just set us up real quickly. So here we got the composers for these three specific games. And I did some light research on them, so I'll let you know what there is about them. So for starters, Kinoyo Yamashita and Sato Tarashima both wrote the first game's music. And unfortunately, Yamashita didn't stick around with Castlevania. She went and did like a lot of other side projects, but I guess she also helped out with Mega Man X3. She helped wrote some of the music for that. Um, and she also another like notable one that I noticed was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super Nintendo. So she helped create some music for that.
Yes.
And then Satoa Terashima, for some odd reason, I couldn't find a good photo of this person. She spearheaded Simon's Quest music alongside Kenichi Matsubara and Koji Murata. And all three of them worked on Simon's Quest 2. But then, unfortunately, Terashima kind of disappeared from the scene as well. I don't know what happened to her. A lot of these, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but a lot of like the old Konami games, some of the devs, like they didn't share the names of the devs until like many, many years later. I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind it, but it took like many years for people to find out who actually like programmed the game or who wrote the music and all this other interesting stuff.
If I
I'm not
remember
sure.
correctly, a lot of times the credits had like fake names,
Yes.
people or nicknames, and that was it.
Yes. You will see that because one of the clips I have, you'll see the end credit, and it's kind of funny. You'll see the fake names.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead there, Dempsey.
Oh no, I was just going to say that those people that you just named off made such a large chunk of my childhood video gaming experience that it just amazes me that all of them were able to come together on this. So, go ahead.
Yes. And this is a little bit more important, this last person, but for Dracula's Curse, we've got Nori, Maezawa, Jun Funahashi, and Yukie Morimoto. And what's really interesting for you, Dempsey, is Maezawa, he actually wrote the music for Contra and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for the NES as well.
That explains why they sound very similar. We'll get to that. One thing I noticed was the change in the choices of sounds that used to create the tones and the pitches or the notes in or the melodies in
Yes.
Castlevania 2 versus the first Castlevania.
Yes.
Yes, it's actually a pretty. Oh, go ahead.
I was listening closely to them when I was on my walk, when I was on my daily walk today, and I'll just say this: the first game, some of the tracks sound like they belong in another franchise. I'll get to that when we go deeper into this, but it didn't have that signature Konami sound, if you know what I mean.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Yeah. I can't wait to hear more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool. And so lastly, I'll just mention this real quickly for people that are not familiar. So Castlevania first came out in 1986 for the Famicom, and then in 1987 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Castlevania 2 was in 1987 for Famicom, and then 88 for the NES, and then finally Castlevania 3 was 89 for the Famicom and 90 for the NES. Now, real quickly, I don't know if you guys know this, or you probably do because you're smarter than me, but the Famicom has a completely different chiptune board in it. So the music sounds slightly different. Because when I was pulling footage for this, I accidentally pulled some Famicom footage, and I was like, wait a second, this sounds completely different than what I've been listening to. And sure enough, it sounds a little different, slightly different. So
Yeah.
You roboting again, Dempsey.
Yeah, I ran into some of that myself when I brought these up to do research. So, yeah, it's interesting.
yes, sir. Yeah, I didn't bring any in for this specific show, like any examples, but I would encourage you guys to go and look into it. It's really different. I don't know if you got something there.
I've heard Mario 2 versus Doki Doki Panic. You know, the Doki Doki Panic was the Famicom. It was like a specialty Famicom game. And if you hear if you like you said, if you hear the soundtracks, they don't sound exactly the same. Like there's something different. I don't know I forget exactly what it was, but something was off. I don't know if it was pitch. I don't know how to describe it.
Yes, it's really weird.
Yeah,
because it's the same melody, but it's just the sound of it is so yeah.
I think that goes back to the same thing that how they used.
you're still roboting.
Hey, you want me to drop you out real quickly and then you can come in? All right. Well, while we're figuring that out, let me just get rid of some of this real quickly, and we'll move into the next section, and I'll start with him. Hold on. All right, you good there, Drunken Belmont?
I hope that did that.
Here, I'll stop the music to see if that's causing any issues with him, because he was working fine backstage, so I'm not sure what's going on here. All right, well, we're gonna move into the next section, which is the soundtrack itself, and I have all these clips prepared, and we're gonna play them one at a time, and then I'm gonna have these gentlemen give their thoughts and opinions about the music across these 3 different games, and we'll just dive into it some more. So let's start off with the first level of these games, and it's important, I guess you guys would know this, it's important that a first level has to come out with a big, bang and get the player to keep playing, and the music really needs to feed that to the player. So I really think that Castlevania does a fantastic job compared to like other video games. So let's just observe this real quickly, and you guys are allowed to talk over the video clips because they're going to be playing alongside here. So
Okay. Vampire Killer.
Experience. And you don't have to go in that.
You robot again, Dempsey.
hold on, I'll bring you back. Hold on.
I like, yeah, like it's just like, how would I describe this? It's like you're in the first area, and it's like it's like, they're thinking of it from the player's perspective. You're in a weird place, full of danger, full of excitement, full of dangers. You don't know what you're expecting, and that's kind of how I interpret the Vampire Killer thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting, like how, because all 3 of them sound similar as far as the pacing of the music and the way like the instruments are playing in the background. Like, because when I first started playing this, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm getting into. Like, I know it's slaying monsters, but like I have no idea what else is there in store. And as the music is churning along, I'm like fighting waves and waves of enemies, and it's still there blasting in my ear, even though like the first game and the second game have like a shorter loop, like it's like only a couple measures long, the song, whereas like the third game is a little bit more composed and there's more to the piece, so it's a little bit more episodic maybe. But
Yeah, this sound like each of these 3 that we're listening to now sounds like, I'm not going to go as far as say they're say that they're variations of the very first of the Vampire Killer thing, because they're different enough, but they share a similar structure. Like it goes da 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 da. You start with your first bar da 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 da, then da 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 da, and then the other 2 kind of do the same thing. So Bloody Tears and that the beginning, the third one, they kind of have that same structure, so to speak. Like I said, as a Vampire Killer, that way they keep it thematically similar. They keep it thematic, like it feels consistent with what came before. At least
yes,
that's what I think was going through the composer's head. Maybe that's how they were instructed to compose it. Maybe they had the director was like listening. He's like, doesn't sound familiar enough or something. I don't know.
what are your thoughts there, Drunken?
Well, I'd have to say that there was a lot of atmosphere involved in a lot of these compositions, and they were trying to use different rhythms and different melodies to, like was brought up in the chat, to help bring you, like pull you along through the game and set the pace itself. So where if you start to learn the patterns, you can react to the game according to the music as opposed to according to the environment, or should I say in addition to the music. Like the music is a part of it all, and it really is like another player in the game. Now, I think that, they bring them along, and as it goes from one game to the next, it really just evolves as the game themselves are evolving. The music is going along in a familiar way. Like you said, there's callbacks in 3 from 2 and 1. So
It's funny that you mentioned about how the music is like a second player, and the rhythm is part of the game, because I remember like a while ago, if you're familiar with Dan Vask, like he likes playing Castlevania, and so he was streaming it, and he was supposed to be on Tuesday night's main event, but he was like going a little late, so they decided to raid his stream while he was playing Castlevania. And like he lost focus because he was already like zoned into the game with the rhythm and everything and trying to beat it, but because his chat was getting populated by like all of the people waiting for him, he like lost his focus and lost his step, and like was making like dumb mistakes and getting killed and all this other funny stuff. And it was really funny because like Jeremy said, like, yeah, I know that game is a very like rhythm heavy game. Like you have to focus on the rhythm in order to like jump and slay and throw your holy
Right.
water, and otherwise you'll like lose your rhythm and mess up. So that's really funny that you say that.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 was real bad with that because there was no time limit per se, like there was in the other 2 versions. Like you were just kind of left on your own to make your own way. So if you get off your rhythm, man, it can be devastating. Some of those jumps are brutal if you break your rhythm.
Yes, yes.
One of the earliest. 2 was one of the earliest games that employed a. I mean, I don't know if you technically call it Metroidvania, but it was really like the earliest. It was probably the earliest Castlevania. It was definitely the earliest Castlevania to do it, and I mean, it came out around the same time as Zelda 2. Someone we both know is currently playing it and getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Even my tutelage has not been exactly helpful. But it's just like, you know, you're in a bigger area. You're not just in a single level, you know, from going from point A to point B, and then the level ends and then you start from another point A or another, or we'll say point C to point D type of deal. You're in a place made of multiple points, and you can backtrack and you could go back to previous areas, you know.
Right.
And that was one of the, I mean, it was one of the earliest games to do that. And
Yeah.
and it was just a different, it was just like Zelda and Zelda 2. It was just, you know, taking different ideas and implementing them, and, you know, seeing what worked.
Right, exactly.
Platforming level version worked better, so that's why I'm assuming they went back to that for Castlevania 3, Castlevania 4, which is a remake of the first game, and then Rondo of Blood, and then they went back to the Simon's Quest with Symphony of the Night. But Symphony of the Night were designed like Super Metroid, and I don't care what Igarashi says, bull crap. They based that game off of Super Metroid. They used the exact same format for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Right. I agree.
yes.
Yeah.
Robot again.
Oh. Hold on there, Dempsey, you're robotic. Real quickly, let me highlight Pop's comment here, or comment. He said, in Castlevania 2, the beat of the music made you feel the tension, and in parts had a very gothic sound and added so much to the atmosphere. Yes, I would definitely agree with that statement. The gothic atmosphere is definitely what these games are pretty well known for.
One thing I noticed, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but one thing I noticed,
you're good.
Just from watching the gameplay, because I didn't just listen to the soundtrack, I was watching the gameplay too. It's one of the earliest games where you can change day to night.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that game,
which
I
is
never
a
knew
hindrance
that.
sometimes.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, you know, I always credit Ocarina of Time as my first game that I've actually dealt with, you know, seeing, you know, day become night and all that. But hey, Castle of Simon's Quest did it first.
Yeah. Oh, it was actually a big point of contention. A lot of people hated that, especially how long it takes to go from one to the other. The amount of time it was a big deal. But I do believe that Famicom would use that as a loading point. So it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as noticeable on that system because it was loading anyway. So.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, with the first levels done, let's roll into the next section, would be the underground. Now, I will say Castlevania 2 doesn't really have like an underground theme, whereas like Castlevania 1 and 3 does. But I just included it in there just so that there's like it just flows better, I guess. So here we go. We'll go right into it.
Oh, so good.
Oh, nice editing. Seems like these underground areas have to have, creatures from the Black Lagoon jumping out.
Right.
Yes.
And you do have those in Castlevania 2, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. I love how this song starts out with like this tension, and then it kind of resolves towards this part of the song. So it sounds all like doom and gloom, and then it gets better. It's like, no, you can get through this.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
It reminds me a bit of the Goonies 2 soundtrack.
Goonies. Oh, the game. I haven't played that.
All right, so this is
good.
this is like the throwaway section. Like Monster Dance isn't necessarily an underground theme, but this is like the underground areas that you can traverse through in Castlevania 2.
Yep. Yeah, that's right where you get the fire whip.
Yes, one of the most OP weapons in the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's on my speed run. So atmospheric.
I think this game has like 3 or 4 different like underground style songs.
That one. That's my favorite.
I'm taking it that this tone basically saying, "Be careful. This could be a very, very dangerous area.
Right.
You're careful enough."
Yes. I like
This is
Demon
like real
Seed.
funky. Yeah, this is funky. I love it.
So yeah, that's basically a taste of the underground music in these games. So I'll start off with you, Nerporial. Tell me a little bit more about Castlevania 3, because that one you seem to be a little bit more familiar with.
A little bit. I mean, I'm just familiar with the story. I'm familiar that it's a prequel to the first game. You play as, and that's what they based the Castlevania anime series. Well, okay, well,
Right.
not quite an anime. It's it's anime based. But one thing I'll say about Castlevania 3 is that the music budget, based on just me listening, I don't know if you guys ever listened to Nico's 8-Bit Studio, but he
I
has
did
like
not.
almost every NES. He has almost every NES title, and he has every track, and he has one video that has all 3 games. So that's what I was listening to today on my walk. And one thing about the first 2 Castlevanias took about half the time. It's a 50-minute video, or a 50-minute video. So half of the time was covered by first 2 Castlevanias. The second half was covered by Castlevania 3. So Castlevania 3 had a lot more tracks, which means it had a lot more budget. Because one thing about some of the earlier Nintendo games is that they would reuse themes for other levels. And then as time goes on, and the series, whatever video game series gets more and more successful, they put more budget into their soundtracks to the point where that they can add, they can have almost a new, they don't have to reuse any themes. They can add as many themes as possible. And plus, there's a lot more levels in this game too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's what I was going to say, was that the game is massive compared to the other 2. You could probably fit the other 2 games within the third and still have room to spare.
Yes, Simon's Quest only had like 10 tracks, and one of them you only hear one time, which is like the menu screen, and then like a lot of the
Right.
tracks you hear repeatedly because you're going to the same type of locations, and then of course the overworld music is the same wherever you go.
Right.
But yeah, Dracula's Curse, I'm looking at it like a list of it. It's like well over 20 tracks. It's quite a bit. So
Yes.
yeah, they definitely spent a good amount of money on the music, and being able to cram it all into a Famicom cartridge as well as a NES cartridge is pretty impressive, I would say,
Yeah,
for the
agreed.
game at the time.
Did they use the disc system for that one, or was that just the SNES games? Because I know they had a Super Famicom. I just don't know how. I'd never checked into the actual way that Castlevania 3 works with the Famicom.
That is a good question. I forgot to look into that. I'll have
Me
to
too.
you'll have to look into it later. I would imagine it's still the same cartridge, but yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Well, that makes two of us. I suppose I should have answered my own question before the stream.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So we got the underground done, and we're gonna go to my favorite section, which is the overworld / castle traversing type section of the game. And I know Neporial told me this a while ago, how like there's a huge dynamic between the underground levels and then as you're marching your way towards the top with the castle itself. So we'll take a listen to the music here and see what it sounds like.
Oh, this level. Yeah, you can tell this song is building upwards. It's symbolically.
Oh, I think I
This
might have
level.
cut out the last part. I'm sorry if I did. I think I might have caught up. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you're right. It was building to this. Time to fight is what I'm gathering from that build up.
Oh yeah, and this is the level of death, literal, actual death. The Grim Reaper is at the end of this level.
I like the staccato of the notes in it. It's really it works well with that.
This is like a race.
Yeah, you gotta ignore all those bats because they're just a waste of time to fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
You know what this sounds like? You know what this sounds like? Sounds like this belongs in the Mega Man game right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would work.
Agreed. Completely. Oh, yes.
So if you hear this right now, this sounds very Konami right here. The choice of sounds right here. This is what I was talking about. Stuff that you also hear in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other Konami games. This is what I kind of think of as the signature Konami sound right here.
Yep.
And you start hearing this in 2, and you definitely hear this in 3.
Right. By the way, I think they broke this level. I'm pretty sure there was supposed to be enemies here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was wondering why it was so empty when I first went through here.
Right. I mean, I could be wrong. I have no reason to think that. It's so empty.
You got that fast tempo.
Yes.
You can swap it out with a harpsichord.
Deja Vu. What a good tune.
Is this 3?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Deja Vu, you know, remember this? Remember Barry? They should call it
That's
Remember Barry.
Remember Barry? Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, when it comes to musical member berries, I am a complete sucker, right, Dempsey? Like, especially
And
with
me
Picard Season 3.
Dude. Yes. Hey, that got me too, man. It wasn't just you. I can imagine it was probably tremendously more so you, though.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be surprised. I went to that 50th anniversary concert with tears in my eyes, hearing those themes live.
Oh man, I could imagine hearing stuff like this live. Oh man, that would just.
I don't know. I don't remember what. I think I might have heard Vampire because I went to play a video game symphony back in 2006, and they had like almost every series was represented at that concert.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
Koji Kondo was there, and there were some technical difficulties. Koji Kondo went up to the piano and started playing the new Super Mario Brothers Overworld theme, and I don't think the game was out yet. And he just smiled like a little prankster and went and played it on the piano. And I remember, I'll never forget that. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't realize that Koji Kondo was the composer of the my child, majority of the themes from my childhood.
Right. That's really cool.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I looked him up. I was like, holy crap.
Right.
And the Zelda theme.
Yeah.
Wow. Which one? The original?
Yeah, I think they mainly covered the original. Some dude, because this was at the Rosemont Theater. And so it was like, it was one of those, it was almost like a performance, like a classical performance, but there was a bunch of people my age there. So, and maybe slightly older. And like when the conductor was saying, we're going to be playing this next, someone screamed, "Play Zelda." And everybody looked at him like, "Shut the hell up. This, come on. This is not a rock concert. This is a,
right.
more respectable."
Yes,
right.
A respect establishment. So from what we just watched there, let's look real quickly analyze that first level, Walking on the Edge. Like you were talking about how like it builds up to this this crazy melody at the end. The like with the I'm trying to think what classical music that reminds me of. I'm sure that there's some Mozart or I think it's Mozart. Mr. Castorial should know that because he's a classical enthusiast. But
you said Mozart. It's Mozart.
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 Yep.
I know my piano teacher used to correct me all the time, so that's why I know this.
Yeah, so like that specifically, the Castlevania 2's theme, Dwelling in Doom, like how it has such a triumphant sound to it, because Dracula's dead in that game because you killed him in the first game, so like it's kind of like over the top because it's like, well, he's dead, so I'm like super strong and powered up, so like these monsters shouldn't scare me, and you're just going in there and whipping the hell out of them, and even though like they are still pretty strong if you don't correctly level up your guy and get the right weapons. So that theme for it is really cool. Do you got anything you want to add there, Drunken Belmont?
Well, I'd have to say that theme, it fits. It's very appropriate because you come back to it, and by the time you're done with the final, estate or mansion, I think they're mansions in that game. By the time you're done with the final mansion, it really, it starts to already bring back nostalgia, even on your first playthrough. I would say that it hits hard in all the right areas, and it's not too, it doesn't outshine the rest of the game. Considering the construction of the world itself, you could go from any song back and forth. It really does well to complement the other songs. So,
yes, I wanted to quickly actually highlight this because we were talking during this section, but this theme here within these castle walls, like it has such an eerie like sound to it because the castle's destroyed or whatever, and you're about to go and resurrect Dracula so you can just kill him again, and I don't know. It has like a really interesting melody to it. It goes up and then down and then up and then down.
To be careful what you wish for theme.
Sounds like an arpeggio, going from one key to another.
Right.
Yes.
Going up and then down and then changing. Yeah, I like this stuff.
Now, a random clip that I have here that I didn't know what category to put it into is the Castlevania 2's like town theme, because you go in between towns and stuff. So there's a specific theme that plays, and it's only like a single track, but I included the nighttime mode when you're having to fight the monsters in the village as well.
Yes.
So they use Monster Dance for this, but you'll see it quickly change to daytime and like a nicer theme plays.
Got a nice little tempo going. kind of a slightly maniacal theme going.
This is great.
Now we got a slower tempo.
Then it gets funky.
Yeah, right there.
This sounds just like something out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, dude.
Oh, really? Like when you're in the overworld?
Boom, 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 boom. You know, it's like the use of the different bass or the bass sounding tones right here.
Mm. So, anyways, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that song is really cool. I wish it was like a lot longer and
Agreed.
like more composed out, but just that small section of it is like it has so much like emotion and like it has a lot in it already. And it's interesting that I thought they would have changed the music at nighttime, but they still use like the same one monster dance or whatever. But anyways,
Right.
I wanted to share that because I actually like that song. It's really well composed.
Oh yeah, I bob my head the whole time I'm playing it. I get into a good rhythm with it. We discussed that earlier. That game, there's a real natural rhythm to the way things work and the way you spawn monsters, the way you farm for hearts, the way you have to swing your chain when you jump, and it's all. I personally, when I play it, I use the music as audio cues to do these things. So. It's not just the visual cues in that game. The audio cues are very prominent for me when I play. Good.
Yep. All the hearts that I have to farm to be able to purchase the expensive whip or like all the other items. So you just hear the same music over and over again. It's very comforting.
Agreed. Yeah, like coming home to a nice snack, right? Comfort.
Yeah. Yes. So real quickly, I want to just highlight people that have actually dropped in since we started. Try to get to this real quickly. So we've got the Mrs. Krista Dempsey. Howdy.
Hello.
Thanks for coming by. And then we've got the one and only Wakizashi Tea House here.
Great.
How's it going there, good sir? I know it's a day off for both of us right now.
Hey, by the way, Krista's my wife. I just wanted to point that out. I didn't know if anybody in the chat would know that. That would be my wife. It's my angel, my love. Go ahead.
And then we also got Whoopa who showed up. Thanks. Hail, comrade Whoopa.
Hail.
Thanks for coming.
Hail.
Mrs. Dadman Walking. Hey, thanks for coming out. I know we recently linked up on Twitter, so it's good to see you here. Appreciate you stopping by.
Hail.
We got Brandon, the anime guy. Always a fun hearing him and his anime recommendations.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I think there's one more. Just a sec. Oh, no, I think that's everybody. Yeah, thanks again. Actually, let me highlight some of these chats because some of these have been pretty good. Yeah, see, Whoopa, lovely 8-bit. Yeah, the 8-bit's fantastic. Simon's Quest is really good on the music front. Same with 3. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, here we go. 3 pushed the NES to the limit. I think so. I think it really did.
Push it to the limit.
Not just music wise, the amount of game in there and the quality. It's widely considered to be one of the best games ever made on Nintendo for NES. I mean,
I like this. My buddy here's a troll. Funky man walking around basking in the fruits of Slink Evil all night. I'll do a couple more of these. Rondo of Blood on the TG16. I'm not familiar with that.
TurboGrafx.
Oh, TurboGrafx, yeah.
That was the you had the Super NES, you had the Sega Genesis, and then you had the redheaded stepchild, the third redheaded stepchild, which was the TG16.
Yeah, which had these like giant SD card looking cartridges, and as opposed to the big clunky cartridges that all the other things use, it was these like thin credit card looking things.
It's covered by my godfather, but I have the TurboGrafx 16 Mini.
Oh, cool!
The Sega Genesis Mini and the Super NES Mini and the NES Mini.
Right. What do you think about Keith Courage? Oh, okay, never mind. It's a TurboGrafx 16 game. It was like their attempt at being Mario, I suppose.
I thought that was Bonk. I thought Bonk was like the Mario of the TurboGrafx 16.
Oh, okay. I mean, I always considered that to be more like what Hudson's Adventure Island want to be, but I suppose, yeah, I could see that too.
I only played one game. I'll be honest. I only played one game on the TurboGrafx 16.
Which one was
That
it?
Newtopia, which is a clone of the original Zelda.
Oh, cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they had really good pinball games on there too. The Crush, the Demon Crush, and Alien Crush. Yeah, those were good.
One game I recommended was Kadash. I believe that's an RPG.
Oh, cool.
Would you guys say that this is correct? That it's the PC Engine in Japan?
It's
Okay.
You can get the PC Engine or the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. I got the TurboGrafx 16 Mini because, for the love of Pete, I can't speak Japanese. I mean, I understand some cues because I've listened enough subbed anime, but yeah.
Yeah, I see the PC Engine like out here, and I'm like, what is this? Like, why is it called PC Engine? But now it makes sense. So, TurboGrafx 16. Alrighty then.
I mean, it didn't have nearly it didn't have the chops to compete in the long run, but for when it was out, it wasn't bad.
And like you said, it was like the redheaded stepchild, the cousin or something.
Right.
Yeah.
With all these clone games on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Neo Geo.
Hudson. I mean, it was who made the Hudson Soft. You know, who made like Neilon's Secret Castle and Adventure Island. You know, Master Higgins' Adventure Island. That company was the one that developed the TurboGrafx or the PC Engine, I believe.
Thanks.
I'll have to keep my eye out on it when I go out into these retro shops to see. I'll take a picture and I'll post it on Twitter or something so you guys can see it. But, well, I got a couple more clips, so we're gonna do this next one, which is the boss themes for these games. And it's kind of funny because Castlevania 2 doesn't really have like a boss theme other than like Dracula when you fight him.
Right.
Which is really weird because you like walk into a room and then there's a boss there and it's still the same music, Dwelling in Doom. But anyways, so
well, it's weird because there's 5 mansions but only 2 bosses.
Yes, that didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right. So hey, you know, it made a good game.
Yep.
I had fun.
All right,
let's see these clips. What do you got?
Yeah, let's throw these up here.
Oh, man, that map, I love that. I love how you did that editing too, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate
like you said earlier. Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a single bass note, and then you hear do 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 do. I don't know if it's like it's two. I think it's 2 notes. I don't know if they're fourths or fifths or something. This is my piano. This is my piano side talking. Do you guys by any chance know what those were? Were those fourths or fifths that they were playing? Those 2 notes. Do 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 do.
Actually, Dempsey, don't you have that video link of what you sent me about the actual musical composition? Do you remember that? Because I think it would show it on there what type of notes it is. I don't know off the top of my head, but
I don't know off the top of my head either. Give me a second here. I'll see if I can pull something.
Okay, we'll keep watching this.
Is this the first?
Yeah, the first phase.
Castlevania,
the first Castlevania. Yep.
Yeah. So so you have Dracula, appearing, teleporting in random positions, throwing 3 layered fireballs at you. And then once you beat him, then he becomes a giant white demon beast that jumps really high and tries to land on you, and you have to smack him with some holy water.
I will say in these clips, the guy that played it spams the holy water, so like the music gets drowned out over the holy water sound effects. But
yep, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, that's still how you do it right there. Just pin him in the corner.
You Cookie Monster, you got to keep him in his place.
That's right. By the way, that video is no longer available.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. That was a really long video. Is no longer available. That was
That's a
really well
bummer.
done too.
Oh, well, in case you're wondering, Nerporial, it's somebody took like the music sheets and they like laid it out one after another, and then you can like listen to it while watching the music play out.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see the actual composition and see like how they wrote it. And unfortunately, we can't see it now.
Really?
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, that's how I do it right there. Yeah.
This is like the quickest way too.
Oh yeah.
I was watching this boss fight, and I was watching the Castlevania 3 boss fight today, and I was just like, that's Dracula. But then I turned back because I saw the final part, and it was Dracula. He turns into a Medusa looking monster, and then all of a sudden he's just what the hell? I didn't even know it was like I don't know how to describe the third one, but it was like not Dracula at all. It was like a demon, a giant demon.
Yeah, it is really weird. Like the different forms. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what was going through their mind. Real quickly for this piece, because the first part of it got cut out. It has like this interesting like eerie sound to it. It's like da, 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 and then it like picks up really quickly. It starts slowly.
Yeah, you'll hear it a bunch of times throughout the game.
You hear the gradual increase in tempo, and now this is getting maniacal, and of course there's the two mummies.
Yes, classical boss from the first game too.
Is this the first game?
No,
this is number 3. So.
Yeah, the mummies are at the end of the third stage.
Yeah, I think so.
I included this because this is like on your way to fight Dracula, but it's also the song that plays while you're fighting his first form.
This is from the first game, right?
The third game. This is still the third game.
Oh, third game.
These last clips are the third game right now.
Yeah, you can tell the third game. It's the only one that has a picture of him in the top right corner.
Yeah, the tone isn't like too intense for this first stage of the fight.
Yeah, it's very menacing though.
Yes.
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't feel like a boss fight. Now this feels like a boss fight.
Right. And that was his easy form. This is the more complicated one.
This is the Medusa looking form that I was talking about.
Right.
It's really gross, actually.
Yeah.
They're like, it's very extreme.
You have to really time when you're going to. Yeah, this is the demon. I'm like, what the? I'm like, is this Dracula? Like, what the hell is this? It's like a bird demon thing.
Right.
Yeah. But the tempo, like they turn it up a lot for this last section.
Yes.
It's still the same song, but they really cranked it up.
Yeah, they did. I mean, you got to. It's the final. You know, it's the third part.
Right. I honestly think that is a trick on the behalf of the devs to get your nerves to make you lose. They're trying to get you lost in your nerves. So you're like, man, what do I do? Oh no. At
least they didn't pull a Ninja Gaiden where, you know, if you die during any segment of these three, any part of these three, you know, this 3-tier fight, you know, you don't get sent back 3 levels. Or
yes.
So I mean, I'd swear right now, but I don't think he wants to swear, so I'll say not nice people.
Right.
Yes.
And I heard, I don't know who I heard this from, but I can believe it, that because of the controversy behind people in the 80s and early 90s, you know, my time renting video games from the video store instead of buying them. And that used to piss off the game companies quite a bit, especially Nintendo. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's why, like for Ninja Gaiden's, you know, sake, they made it that hard just to be jerks.
Right.
Like
yes.
you're not beating this in a single. You're not going to beat this in a single rental. Hell no.
Yeah. Right. Well, and not only that, but a lot of games back then didn't really have an end. You just you were going for points, and
yes.
So there was no way to actually beat the games. So yeah, I would say you're
What are
right.
you talking about? Like Donkey Kong? Like that's way early. That's like early 80s.
Oh no, I mean, you think about Nintendo games like Paperboy, for example,
Oh, paper. That's
or
early
like
80s too, I believe. I believe
RC
it was
Pro
82.
Am,
Okay.
things like that. Games that didn't really have an ending to them, and they were just brutal. Good luck. Hey, here you go.
Yeah, I could not get to level 99 in Donkey Kong for the life of me.
Oh, I'm with you.
Oh wow.
That's not an easy feat to do. Or like Centipede or Space Invaders Galaga, things of that nature. Yep.
Hmm.
But then they took those games and they evolved into games like what Super R-Type is, and what Gradius.
Gradius.
Yes, Gradius. I don't know.
Gradius.
I don't know. Like Bassinger. I don't know how to say it. No, go ahead. Sorry about the waffle there.
No, you're good. So for this last section of the game, I'm gonna show you guys the end credits, and I don't know about you, but I like end credits in video games because a lot of times they're very different than like the music that you heard in the game. For an example, like Super Mario 64, like the end credit to that game is like so different compared to like the rest of the music you heard throughout the game. It's like
Yeah, dun 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 dun. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yep.
yeah, and
Yep.
Ocarina of Time does a good job with that too. Majora's Mask does like a lot. Anyways, just in general, end credit game music for the games are just really unique, and so Castlevania does a really good job, and I appreciate the end credit music. So we'll give it a quick watch here. No
Yes.
fancy graphics for this clip.
That was fancy back then.
Yes.
So good.
Sounds very Led Zeppelin here. I'm trying to think what song that I'm thinking. Baby, I'm gonna leave you. That's where I'm thinking now.
Oh, nice.
Holy crap. Holy crap. I was thinking, like, where have I heard this before? Led Zeppelin 1, by the way. I wouldn't be, I mean, a lot of times, like, you hear, like, in video game music, you kind of hear some, famous, songs, American songs, or, songs from the 70s.
Yeah. That was back when everybody still wanted to import the American culture.
Yeah, I mean, even the end of Mario 3, there's a song, I forget the name of the song, but there's a song I used to hear on the radio that sounded like the end credits scene for Mario 3. That one.
Oh, yeah.
Doing a, you know what I'm talking about?
I do, actually, yes.
Yeah, let you go. Bum,
Yep.
bum, 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 bum. Tell me it ain't so. Baby, you don't know. Baby, I can't think. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yes, I
It made
do.
me think of the Mario. It made me I think they incorporated some of that into the Mario 3 theme. But that's allegedly. So
Right.
Well, there was an Instagram video going around recently of like this guy saying how the original Mario Bros theme and I think the original Zelda theme was taken from some like pop music.
Mario
Like
3 was from the original Mario Brothers thing was from like a jazz soundtrack. I listened to it like a few weeks ago.
Yes.
We'll have to talk about that when we talk Mario.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
You not only hear that, but they like, I think Kondo and other Mario composers, like they really what do you call where you take something apart, like
Deconstruction.
Deconstructed. Yeah.
They deconstructed it, and or in the case of dissecting it. So that's the word,
Okay.
dissecting.
Yeah.
A little more grisly, in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
They dissected that song and they used it in other themes in later Mario games.
Okay.
I'd have to pay close attention. Like I think I heard stuff from like 3D World or Odyssey.
Oh
So,
wow. Okay.
that's yeah.
Yep. Well, and there's a big difference between paying homage to something or making a song in the style of another song or just
Yeah.
straight up ripping it off. You know,
Yeah, in this case,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was ripping it off. It was just like they took an aspect of, and they kind of took a single little aspect, like maybe a single phrase, and they managed to take something like that and make an entire song based on that phrase or using
awesome.
that phrase. That's
Yes.
kind of how I saw it.
They expanded
That's
on
really
it.
Yeah, or they expanded it with their own creativity, their own and I like that. I mean, that's really, inspiration has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, agreed completely. And the same thing with storytelling and movies
Yes.
and all these other. Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Oh,
So
the good
here's
ending.
here's the last two endings for this is 2 Simon's Quest, and then 3 will play right after.
I always wonder whatever happened to Simon Belmont after Simon's Quest.
He died.
He dies. Okay. Or does he live on?
In mystery.
Well, I mean, like every time you kill Dracula, he only comes back every 100 years, right? Except for this game. For some reason, he comes back quicker in this game.
Right. Well, because you brought him back. You were trying to get rid of the curse. That was the whole point of the game. Right.
Oh, so he got cursed because he killed Dracula in the first
Exactly.
game? Okay.
This one should have been called Dracula's Curse.
Oh, that makes sense then.
Oh, okay.
But if you notice, the end of this one, it's not so kosher.
I think I clipped it out. I know you're talking about Drunken. I think I clipped it out.
Right. Yeah, this is the one, if you beat it under 8 days, I think it is, you get this ending. This is the quote-unquote best ending.
I still have this much left, Dempsey. I think I'm gonna spill it out. It won't.
Hey,
it won't hurt you, will it? It won't offend you.
No,
Are you
that's
sure?
totally. Yeah.
You can mess with me and say yes. You gotta drink it all.
You got to drink it all. You got to drink it all in the next 10 minutes.
Oh, that's not happening.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. My days of slamming hard alcohol are long past.
Yeah,
That's so
then Pips is not here, so I'm not gonna do it.
Well, Pips will have you drink good stuff.
Yeah, I got some right there. I keep forgetting about this. I have it hidden on my shelf, and
Right.
There's $16.99. There's $16.99, guys.
Whew.
Yeah.
Man, this song is so good. I love
Yes.
this. Like, this is a very triumphant, joyous, mission accomplished.
After beating such a difficult game in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of majors and just happy feeling here, right?
Yep, and it still has that. I don't know. It's the drum. I think it's the drum that really sets this apart. Sets this Konami sound apart. Just the way the drum sounds, pump, 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 like that.
Right. Yeah. That very specific setting, because I think they only had like maybe 10 different drum sets, to choose from. It's MIDI wise.
Was it because of the? I'm curious if it was because of if they used different equipment, or was it a setting thing? I don't know as much about like the instruments that they used, the tools that they used to create the 8-bit sound. I mean, the 8-bit sound was created because the limitation of the hardware.
Right, exactly. And this was right on the edge of, this is exactly as much as they could put. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to test out, how much a Nintendo cartridge can give you, this is the game.
Yeah. It's such a, what's funny is, it was like unintentionally, you because of the limitations of the hardware, it's just, you created something just unique. Like, this sound is very unique. Like you hear video game soundtracks now, they sound very, they sound like you could listen to it like in a movie soundtrack or a TV soundtrack. It would be hard to distinguish, but this 8-bit soundtrack, these chip tunes, was something truly unique.
Right.
And I feel like as time went on, the uniqueness of video game music and the way it sounded kind of diminished, or no, it did diminish.
Agreed. Well, I think that has a lot to do with the structure of gaming nowadays as well. A lot of things are much more open world, and you can't really have that same effect as far as music goes, because in early gaming it was very brief, going from one place to another, so you could play a different song in there. But now it'll take you 15-20 minutes to get to a new spot, and they don't want to ruin that song. And so as opposed to ruining a song in your ears, they'll just play nothing.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about music now versus music then is that music then was very, like, especially Super Nintendo era, especially, music was more memorable. The tunes were very unique and catchy. There was always a hook. Now everything's everything is trying to be atmospheric and not very.
Right.
It doesn't. I mean,
Yes,
I can listen to it. I can still listen to it and enjoy it, but it's not as enjoyable as listening to something with a melody, with a true melody, especially a melody with a hook. Something that will really, catch you.
Right. Well, it's very safe as opposed to the risk-taking, pioneering that they were doing at this point in video gaming. Back then, they were still, like I said, this is only the third one, or the second one, or maybe even the first one, depending on which one of these games we're talking about. They had nothing to go off of, so it was just, give me what you got. And they brought in some of the most creative people of the time that they had on hand. Very beautiful, one of them, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like you said earlier, we're talking Mozart earlier. There's actually one level that makes me think of Mozart, and that's the library in Symphony of the Night.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
That one. I at least I get a Mozart vibe. Maybe somebody gets another composer vibe, but that sounds very Mozart. It wasn't quite Bach, because Bach wasn't really known for chords as much. He was known for really elaborate melodies.
Right, fugues. Yeah,
fugues. Yeah, and then Beethoven doesn't sound Beethoven.
Right,
just doesn't.
I'm with you. So I was always more of a Wagner guy myself.
Wagner. Yeah, oh my gosh, that was a bad person from Germany's favorite composer. Jeez.
Yeah.
I learned that from Curb Your Enthusiasm, because Larry David was humming Wagner, and another person of a particular faith was like, "The hell, dude? Where's your Judaism?" And he's like, "Judaism, where are you?" Sorry, I didn't mean to derail this into that, but I don't listen enough Wagner. I only think that when I think Wagner, I think of the obvious, Rise of the Flight of the Valkyries. That's the one. I'm sure he's done. He's done a crap ton more work than that. But that's the one that just springs to mind right away when I hear Wagner.
Yeah. Well, he just has so much good stuff. Like him and Dvorak and Tchaikovsky. And, I've been listening to a lot of these guys pretty much my whole life, thanks to my dad. Oh, and Looney Tunes. Right.
Oh yeah, definitely Looney Tunes. I believe, I think Wagner was the Romantic era, so that was 19th century. So him, Brahms, and Chopin. And,
so good.
Oh, Chopin's dark stuff. Like, Chopin is what Adrian Brody. Well, not Adrian Brody, but Adrian Brody's character plays in The Pianist, and the Polanski film. I know a lot of people hate Polanski because Polanski did very Polanski things that only Polanski would do. Well, actually, not only Polanski, a lot of Hollywood would do. So that's a great movie. I don't care.
Hey, Vivaldi, agreed.
Oh, Vivaldi's good too.
Yes. So we talked. We talked about the old music, and the old music is fantastic. And Castlevania here brings a great point about how a lot of this older stuff hooks you a lot easier than the newer stuff does. I find myself listening to video game music that's older than like 2010, for example, because for some odd reason that hooks me in a lot more easier than like any of the newer stuff. There's a couple times that newer stuff does, but An example of a newer thing I wanted to show you guys was from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because they did a fantastic job remixing and like recovering like old video game music, but with like better production and like with some extended melodies to it and compositions. So I have like, this is my longest clip. It's about 3 minutes long, I think, and it's from the game, and you'll see what it is. So I wanted to share that with both of y'all, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. We're gonna see who the best Belmont is.
Awesome.
So Simon and Richter, okay. If I remember correctly, Richter is after Simon.
Right. Richter was the one who was the bad guy in
Symphony of the Night.
Symphony, yeah.
And he was the main character in Rondo of Blood, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Yes, Brandon mentioned that earlier. But yeah, you hear like how like advanced they can do the music with like new instruments and new sound equipment. Like you can really highlight each of the different tones in this one track with the new production.
I mean, I hear a guitar, obviously.
I've always been a big fan of the distorted guitar lead.
Yeah.
The drums in this, though. See, I look at all these from a drummer's perspective, and the drumming in this is amazing.
Like this part of the song is new. Like they added it to the Vampire Killer track.
Do you know by any chance if they got the original composer to come back to do that? Which seems to be a very common thing nowadays.
No, I think I remember looking at it. It wasn't her. I need to double check that though.
Yeah, that double bass is very well placed right there. Very tasteful.
Okay, I just found out it wasn't the original composer. They used somebody else in Konami, or from Konami.
Oh, so they did collaborate with Konami. Okay.
Yes. All the credit, like for the newer music, is given to Konami. I think there might have been a couple that Nintendo did, but most of it's Konami.
Okay.
Yeah, that was amazing. Oh, okay, that was cool too.
That was very cool. I agree.
Yeah, so I wanted to show you guys that because for me, when it came to learning about video game music, it was because of Smash Brothers. For an example, I never, like most people, I never knew Fire Emblem existed until I played Smash Brothers Melee, and the music in that game, they use like one track, was absolutely amazing. Same with like the other Smash Brothers games, they would add like different franchises in and their music. So I like learn about all of these other new video game franchises music through Smash Brothers. So I wanted to show you that through this Smash Brothers clip.
Nice. Yeah.
Good
I
night,
mean, yeah.
Brandon.
One thing about Smash Brothers, it's not just a fighting game. It's like a celebration of the franchises that of several video game franchises. And it seems like everybody, despite the platform, wants to be a part of it and stuff. So Ultimate was like just a culmination of everything. So, and here's the thing, though, I'm not the biggest Smash Brothers fan, to be perfectly blunt. I played the first game, the N64 one, a long time ago. I played a little bit of the Wii one, and I was just like, you know what? I feel like I played them all.
I have a confession. Here's my confession. I've never played a single moment of any Smash Brothers game.
Oh, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Oh, no, it's kind of weird because everyone I know loves this game, or like Nerdporeal may be the first person I've ever heard say that they weren't a big, huge fan. So I don't know why. It's not for any reason. I've just never played.
It just felt like, you know, it was just like it just felt like iteration after iteration was not that much different. I mean, yeah, you had different characters, you had different maps and everything, different, you know, attacks, but it was basically the same thing. I've never gotten the fighter games for that very reason. They just come across. I mean, it doesn't. I don't find it engaging enough. It just feels
Right.
like a repetitive.
Agreed. Yeah, like a reskin. They're like, here, have the same game again. That'll be $80.
Yeah, and then believe it or not, that's actually how I feel about Mario Kart as well. And I loved the first Super Nintendo game. Played it. You know, I was 8 years old when that came out. Got it for Christmas. And then I was blown away by Mario Kart 64 by how different that was from the Super Nintendo game. And I tried playing Double Dash. I never got into Double Dash for GameCube. And so, like, the only two Mario Karts I really have fond memories of playing is the first one on Super Nintendo and the N64 one. Same thing. It just felt like reskins. And then they added all this unnecessary crap. So when I played Mario Kart 8 with people, I have no idea. I'm like, it's just like, okay, I get to make my own cart now. What is this? Why?
Right.
Why is that there?
Yeah,
I can understand that.
I don't care. I don't care about that and everything. So yeah.
No, I'm with you on it. Hey, you know, and had they not included that, you know, the game may be better or worse, but you know, that was the risk they took, I suppose. You know, sometimes risks pay off, like Simon's Quest, or like
Angry
the
Video
risk they
Game
took.
Nerd disagree with you.
Yeah,
Well, no,
that's true.
That's how I first learned about that game was because of Angry Video Game Nerd.
Right.
So,
I mean, I think in the amount of time that he spent on that video itself, I could have beaten that game 3 times. So I don't even know what he was complaining about. I think he might just suck at video games.
probably does. Probably does. But there was that one part where you didn't even know that you had to duck for like a minute before some tornado takes you to the next area.
Yeah, you gotta have the red gem.
Yeah.
Well, in the game itself, all the NPCs are saying things that aren't true. Like you got to smash your head into Deborah Cliff, and you just
yes.
So I mean, but if
It's
you
so
know
funny.
the route, it's really not that hard to do. It doesn't even take an hour if you know what you're doing. Heck, the speed runners are doing it in like a half hour. You know,
Yes.
it's not that hard.
So for this final section of the discussion, and we'll probably start trying to wind down here, I want to get into the more of a discussion about your personal thoughts, and we'll rattle them off relatively quickly. It's up to you guys, but I'm going to ask you guys different questions, and you can answer them and let me know like what you think about it. So for this first one, I'm going to ask Mr. Casporial here. How do you think the tone and the style of the music fits into this Castlevania franchise?
Which one? Or which music?
Any 3 of them? The 3 that we saw today.
How does it fit into the franchise?
Like, how does it because it's a game about slaying Dracula and fighting the creatures of the night. So like, how does the music reflect that? I guess.
I mean, okay, so like for instance, the first level, Vampire Killer, which is the introductory level, to me, it kind of comes off as it's telling the player, you're here for you're here for a new adventure. You have a new objective. There may be weird stuff coming. There may be dangers coming, but it's going to be you're going to be able to it's like the game's way of telling you you're able to do good. Send the groundwork for what's to come. There are all these things that could be happening. So that's that to me was a Vampire Killer. And then like the other themes like Bloody Tears and I think the other one, and it's the same that goes for the underground themes as well. They feel like they're not quite variations, but they're very similar. Like I said earlier, they're very similar in structure. So like you hear the same like types of rhythms, like Dempsey said, and you hear very equivalent rhythms and timing, or like time signatures, like da 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 da. And then how's the Blade Tears go? Um, I can't even think of it, but it's the same type. It has the same type of structure in the measure in the bar that goes into the next bar and everything composition wise. So, and so they've tried, and in my opinion, that makes it consistent with the series, and you kind of know you're hearing a Castlevania soundtrack when you're hearing it. And I agree. I've read articles about this today. I agree that the Castlevania, the Vampire Killer one, although it's not as iconic to me because I started playing Castlevania when the Wii Virtual Console came out. When I got the Wii for the first time, I was in my 20s. So I mean, I'm assuming. I mean, I know Dempsey's older than me. I think AngryCanadien. I think you're much younger than me. I think.
Yes.
All right. You're still in your 20s, right?
Yes.
All right. So sorry, I don't mean to do that, but so you were a kid. You were roughly a kid when the Wii came out. So I'm assuming I'm assuming that's how you discovered Castlevania.
Actually, I discovered it when my dad had a like an emulator on like an old Windows 95 computer of like all of these NES titles, and I was like, "What is this random game?" So I played through it, but it didn't click with me until like Smash Brothers came out or Smash Brothers Ultimate, and then I was like, "Oh, this is Castlevania." And then it wasn't until recently that Dempsey got me to like actually play it. So it's been very recent for me. Yeah.
Man.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I must have not paid attention to that part. My bad.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, I mean, the music is consistent and the music is iconic. Vampire Killer is so memorable, and I can see why it's iconic. And some people say it's up there with Mario and Zelda. And if I grew up with it, I think I'd agree with that for the most part. And I know Dempsey certainly agrees with that.
Yeah, completely. I also think I like a lot of the same things I was going to bring up. You brought up already, and I was going to say bravo about that. I would say that the way that the sprite of the actual player moves, it moves along really well with the actual meter of the music. And I'm not sure if they did that on purpose, but like the way that he swings his arms and shoulders, it's like an unnatural walking, but it's got a nice animation to it, and it's very measured. And I would say that it was probably done on purpose. I have a feeling that rhythm had a big influence on how they built the levels and things of that nature as well. So I would say that this music fits very extremely well. It has good use of minor keys at certain points throughout most of the songs to where it brings you into that. It's not quite right. The dissonance that they use it's tasteful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
there was one theme I was kind of disappointed he didn't include. I think it was in the first game. It's the one that goes da 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 da.
Yes.
Bum 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 da 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 da. That was another theme that sounded very Mega Man. And I think that was the platforming. That was the level that was that was the one where I think you were climbing to the top or something. It was like a platforming level. And so that's kind of how I interpreted that particular particular piece. It was just like, you got to keep moving. You have to keep jumping. You don't ever give up, blah, blah, blah. It builds up to something. And it was just, the choice of sounds for the first Castlevania sounds very, doesn't like I said, doesn't have that unique Konami 8-bit sound that was known for, like Simon's Quest and 3 and Ninja Turtles and all that. The first game sounded very equivalent to like something from Capcom.
Yep. Hey, by the way, Nerdporeal, that song you were talking about is called Wicked Child.
Oh, it's called Wicked Child? Okay.
Yes.
Wicked Child. Okay.
I thought he was talking about Heart of Fire.
Oh, Well, both of those are really good.
Well,
Yeah.
can you play Heart of Fire?
Yes.
Can we play? I don't know how much time you got, but
Oh, I got time. Let me just pull up the video for it on YouTube. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna ask you this next question, Raporial, and because you said you had something you're going to mention. Oh, now my computer's freaking out. So how do you think this franchise, this Castlevania franchise, compares to other ones? And I know because you've been talking about Mega Man a lot. Like some of the music compares
yeah.
pretty well.
Mhm.
Go ahead and give me your answer while I pull up this music.
In terms of music, or in terms of
In
just
terms of music, sorry. In terms
Okay.
of music.
I mean, like I said, like the some of the levels in the first Castlevania sound like they belong in a Capcom game, belong in a Mega Man game. You know, from the choice of sounds to the type of it has like almost an upbeat. It sounds like an upbeat platformer. Maybe because I've been listening to a lot of Mega Man music as well. Like, I'll be honest, I listen to more Mega Man. I'm more into the Mega Man soundtracks than I am into Castlevania stuff. I mean, I do listen to I do like the Castlevania soundtracks, but I'm more into the Mega Man stuff. So I mean, I've been on the elliptical playing, the first Mega Man soundtrack, second one, third one's my favorite soundtrack of all time. I know everybody will disagree, saying, "Oh, it's two has the best soundtrack," and they might be right. But yeah, it has it had that in common with Mega Man, but really Castlevania is very just the later games like Castlevania 2 and 3 sound like other Konami games. Like it sounded very much. I don't remember Contra's soundtrack. Maybe Dempsey, maybe you can do you remember Contra's soundtrack pretty well?
I mean, decently. I have a feeling that's going to be one of those things that's in my mind when I get dementia. I'll still have that.
Oh man, don't talk like that.
yeah, don't.
Well, it's one of those things. I feel like I don't think I could forget those sounds if I wanted to. They've been burned into my brain so much because I spent so much time playing those games as a kid.
I went through high school, I went through college, I went through work, like hearing those music tracks. Like the same with anime now, but like with video games and anime, I've listened to the music more than I've watched or played the stuff.
I'm with you on that.
Tells
Yep.
you, like I've heard Mega Man, I've heard like the Mario, I've heard the Zelda themes and the Mega Man themes and the Mario themes and the Metroid themes way more than I've actually played them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the things about the music was having the music in my head helped me cope with difficult times, dark times. I don't know what it was for me. I don't know if it was the same for you gentlemen, but that's kind of how it was for me. Like if I needed to think about something, if I needed to comfort myself, I would think about video game music, like stuff that I grew up with, or I'd think about Star Trek music. The music was what really the music was what really stayed with me, more than the images, more than the gameplay itself.
Well, I would agree with that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I could see it.
Yes, that's happened to me too. Like, because I've told you guys before that I don't care to listen to modern pop music, but like video game music, I can listen to any day of the week. And yeah, that's helped me through the rough times. It's helped me through studying. It's helped me through just anything. Like that's what I'm constantly listening to. So it's cool that we can connect like that because I think it shows how impactful this music is for people like us. I did pull up the songs, so we could give it a quick listen. So here's Wicked Child. And let me know if the audio comes through.
I'm not hearing anything.
Yep.
You probably didn't
All right.
share audio.
I'm not sure how to do that.
There's a box when you're sharing something. You have to click the box that says share audio. It's not checked in by default. I've made that mistake too.
Is it in the settings?
So what you gotta do is you have to close this window or to close this share and then reshare it and then make sure you click share audio.
Huh, it's not popping up for me right now.
You have to remove it completely and then add it.
Oh, I got you. Okay, my bad.
And then the window should pop up. Yeah.
Hey, that's good to know. I'm gonna be using that myself soon. That's good to know.
All right, let's try this again.
Nope, not hearing anything.
Okay, well that's a bummer because I thought I included it into the
I'll
the
try it.
videos,
I'll
but I
try
guess
it.
I didn't.
What's it called again? Wicked Child?
Wicked Child. Yep. The two
Yes.
we want to listen to is Wicked Child and Heart of Fire.
Heart
Well,
of Fire. Hearts on Fire.
well, while he's pulling that up, Dempsey, you can go ahead and answer that question too. Like, how do you think this music compares to like the other music in other franchises?
Well, I would say that this, as far as the franchise itself is concerned, this was a really cool intro to all these concepts and ideas. The games themselves were really well structured, but the music was just so tasty compared to other things. You got think about the competition back then. You've got not too iconic, but this one guy named Mario, right? Maybe you've heard of this game. And then there was, what the Metroids and the Contras and the things like that. And then there was a game like this that was really trying to bring you into an atmosphere of horror. And to do so, it really depends a lot upon your score in movies. It helps you to build tension and things like that. And I think that they did a really good job of that. I think that at certain points they brought in some kind of like a certain rhythm or meter to help you through the game, like I was talking about earlier. So at certain points it can feel a little forced, maybe. Like Simon's Quest is probably the worst for that, considering they don't even have boss fight music like you were talking about. But
Yes.
I would say that that as far as compared to other franchises, there weren't many that could compete. Not many at all.
Oh, the audio works.
So now I can't hear him.
Now we can't hear you, Castlevania.
Right? So good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, this doesn't sound like a Mega Man.
Yes, exactly.
It could. Yes, it could.
Yep.
Pew,
Agreed.
pew, 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 pew.
Now, do you want to bring up Heart of Fire? I'll remove the screen so that we don't see any of the tabs you have open.
I'm a good person. Don't worry about that.
I believe it. I believe it.
Heart of Fire. All right.
Let me highlight some of these chats real quickly. Prophet's here. Portal is conducting.
Who? Prophet. By the way, he has gigantism in subs now. Like he went up like 1,000 subs in like a week.
Oh wow,
That's awesome. That was cool.
We got everyone's
40 subs during the stream this morning. It was like 30 or 40 subs in one stream.
Yeah, I'm totally
Nice.
jealous. I'm totally jealous now. Totally jealous. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, he
we
does
got
good
everyone's
stuff.
Yeah,
everyone's favorite vampires here.
Yes, the NOS.
Oh, you know what that means? That means I'm gonna be hearing Godporial quite a bit now.
That's right.
I don't know what that means though, but sure.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, whenever you're ready to share that.
Yeah, I got it right. Let me see. Share system audio. All right, and this is extended, so here we go.
Very Mega Man.
Ba-da-dun-da-da.
Yep. And then the build up here.
Yep, it's building up. That's the thing I like about this.
So good.
Oh, my bad.
All right, and then it loose back. Loose back to its first theme. So yeah. Now that part right there sounded. Now that part right there sounds like something out of Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior. That
Right.
like that.
Right. Yes.
I don't know if you know what I mean, but I've heard something like that in the first Dragon Warrior game.
I love that game. I had that game. That was one of the first ones I ever got, actually, because it came with Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that is something I want to dive into with you, Dempsey, because I've never played those games, so I'll be very curious to try them out and listen to the music as well.
Oh yeah. The first one is the one that I have like 99% of my experience with because like I said, I had it so young. But that series is so iconic, man. Wow. They went so huge with it. By the third one, Earth was in it basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot to delve into in that.
So my final question for both of y'all, and you guys have pretty much already answered it, but if you want to add more to it, you can, is when it comes to music of Castlevania, like how impactful has it been on you, like when it comes to your gameplay experience or your life? I know like for Dempsey, this is like super huge for him, and for Nerdporeal here, it's like maybe 50% or less, and then for me it's about 50% because I didn't play it all my life. So I'm curious to see what your guys' different takes are on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll let you start, Dempsey. You got the. I'm
Okay.
sure you got the.
Well, say this was one of the ones that when we were growing up, it was like one Nintendo for the neighborhood, and everybody would show up at this dude's house, and we would all, all of our bikes would be piled out front, and let's go play some games. Well, this was one of the games that was available. So this is one of my early memories that I have linked to good friends, good times, good health, no worries. And when I hear that, it kind of brings me back to that, even if it's only momentarily. I get that. And so I'll find myself just jamming this stuff randomly when I'm by myself. Like this is the soundtrack of my childhood, man. This is one of the ones, this and Mario and Sonic, these were the soundtracks that I grew up with. And I don't think anything could ever compare to it. Like this is where I'm at with this game. This is my one. The hill upon which I die for the music. This is my one.
Nice.
So I would put this up against pretty much anyone, but the differences would have to be highly subjective, and that's so. I'm going to go ahead and lean towards this being my number one franchise musically.
Nice. I remember you and I initially talked about this and how excited you were about wanting to talk about it and share. And I got excited because this is new to me. So like, it was really cool to be able to experience it relatively recently. So I'm thankful that you were able to get me into this game series.
That's cool. I'm glad that you were able to see a piece of what I love so much and experience that joy for yourself. I'm glad. Not everybody's open to that, especially when you get into like the MIDI music, the retro stuff, So that's pretty cool. Like my kids kind of roll their eyes at me when I play it,
Yeah. Well, what about you there, Casporial? What are your thoughts on this? How is it impactful to you?
I mean, I'll say this: Castlevania. The first, I love the first game. I love the original game soundtrack. Vampire Killer is awesome. It's iconic. And whenever people say that, I totally agree. I didn't grow up with it though, so I have a very different take. But like Dempsey said, like these games, these series have really like it's really the soundtrack of my childhood as well. But with Castlevania, it was more the game that was very impactful for me as a soundtrack that I listened to regularly was actually Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night was just so atmospheric. It was very diverse, and I know we're not talking about Symphony of the Night, but it's Castlevania,
right?
But
go ahead.
Hard not to.
But it had a very diverse range of musical genres that really made it great. It was like some of it was atmospheric, some of it was like harpsichordy, as Brandon would say, like like that Mozart theme, that library theme, and everything. You had you just had a lot of great themes that were that either built up to something really catchy or stuff that felt very otherworldly. And the
Yes.
early Castlevania games did that as well. And they're very. I mean, they're even the games I haven't played. I really enjoyed listening to Castlevania 2 soundtrack. And 3 soundtrack the 2 and 3 just had that signature Konami sound. And it is. I think the praise is well earned and well deserved, and should definitely be up there with Mario and Sonic and Zelda and Metroid. Even though Metroid to me is more atmospheric than anything else,
Agreed.
especially with Super Metroid.
Yes.
We really started with Kenji Yamamoto, and Super Metroid really started the atmospheric aspect of Metroid music. But I wouldn't say Castlevania is number one for me. I think number one for me will probably always be. I mean, that's a tough one. It's really hard to rank it. But like hearing the Mario themes, it's probably Mario's probably number one for me, because Mario's the game that really got Super Mario Bros. The very first video game I ever played, and it was the game that taught me how to play video games. My parents taught me how to play Nintendo, use the controller with Super Mario Brothers. And then I played. I mean, the first 3 games I ever completed were Mario games. So
awesome.
So yeah. So if you ever do Mario, I might know somebody who might want to. I can't say who, but they may or may not want to talk about it. And by the way, Prophet of the Dragon is full of shit. I am not sore about getting my ass kicked in Mega Man 2 and 3 by his son. Even though his son is my Mega Man hero, because like he's only 16 years old, and that kid knows his Mega Man really well. Like I am like shocked that his age can kick my ass in an 8-bit NES game. So
right,
yeah, but that's here nor there. So, but yeah,
well, that's going to be Prophet here pretty soon with Zelda 2.
Oh yeah, Zelda 2. He's already like on the verge of breaking his keyboard again.
Nice.
That's
nice.
right. Just takes practice. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I wanted to start this show. I wanted to get like people that have like invested their lives in games like this and the music of these games, and get their opinions out there so people can see them, and we can talk about it. Because I grew up with this type of stuff, and I always thought I was like alone. Like I can't be the only one that likes this type of music, and so it's really cool to meet people that are in the same boat like me in this. As for me, I mean, I just started playing Castlevania like a month and a half ago, and prepping for this podcast or the show, I listened for like a month straight the first 3 albums. Like every day, I'd like ride the train to school and come back. Like I was just listening to it, trying to like understand it and get the feel for it and the theme of it. And then when I would go play the game, it would like click, and it would just make sense. Like, okay, this works perfectly for this type of game. And it's been an amazing journey these last month and a half, I guess you could say.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
That is cool.
I'm glad you're discovering. I'm glad you're discovering this. Now the question is, have you played Metroid?
Of course.
Okay, sorry. Never mind then.
Which ones have you played? All of them?
I've played. Okay, so if we're talking about beat them, I've beaten Super Metroid all the way up till now. I've not beaten the original or Metroid 2 because those are way too difficult for me.
The originals, not the. Have you ever played like the remake of Metroid? The
AMR 2? Oh, Zero Mission? Yes, I played Zero Mission. Yep.
Have you played AMR 2? That's really good.
AMR 2 is amazing. I absolutely love that game. Yeah.
I actually streamed AM2R. I think a few months after I started my channel. It was like probably one of the earliest, because Metroid Dread was coming out, so I was playing that. I was playing Metroid Fusion. I was so excited for another Metroid, like especially Dread. Like I couldn't believe that Dread was actually coming out, because Dread was teased as far back as 2007. Yes,
a long time. Yep.
Yes.
And I think it was rumored back as early as 2005, 2006. Because they were supposed to make a follow-up to Metroid Zero Mission. They never did for a 2D game. So they made Fusion, and then they went back and made Zero Mission as a retooling, reimagining of the first game.
Yes.
and then they were going to make Dread. They were going to make Metroid 5, and that never happened. And I was just so when they announced Metroid Dread, or when they said Metroid, I was like Metroid 5, and then they called it Metroid Dread. I screamed. I was like, ha! I was like, holy! I didn't think that would ever happen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. I played through AM2R and Fusion and Zero Mission and I think Super Metroid before Dread came out. Like I played them in a specific order, and yeah, those are great games. I love the music.
I mean, people are saying Dread's better than Super Metroid. I'm like, dude, you're never
No.
gonna surpass Super Metroid. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
Can't.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. Now, and honestly, so much to the point where like my favorite Castlevania game in the entire series is basically just Super Metroid.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really is that good. I would agree.
I'll say this: Super Metroid's number 1 in Metroidvania, and Symphony Night is number 2.
Okay,
That's good. Yep.
I could see that. Yeah, completely.
Yes, yep.
No arguments from me on that.
Yeah.
Yep. I would say Simon's Quest gets a really bad rap, and it's probably the most underrated of the Metroidvania games, and almost especially of the Castlevania games.
They don't even. What's funny is half the time they don't even call it Metroidvania. They just call it. It's like Zelda 2, kind of.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Where people just poop all over it because it's not like the original one was. But it was literally only the second game in the series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they were trying to figure out what the series was at that point. It wasn't a series until those games came out. Like, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. And you know, some people, I get it. It was like Link 2 was basically just, it was so different that they ended up making a whole new game out of it called Battle of Olympus.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look at it's a really good game. I would look into both. But if you're looking to play Zelda, it's not like any of the other ones. But then again, I suppose that same thing could be said about games like Breath of the Wild or Ocarina of Time. Wasn't like any Zelda before it, but it was still good.
Even though everybody knows how I feel about Breath of the Wild, I'll say this about the music. They ripped off of Joe Hisaishi quite a bit. Like some of their tunes in Breath of the Wild, I heard them in the Castle in the Sky soundtrack. But then again, Zelda itself is heavily. There were a lot of elements that kind of they took from Miyazaki films in general. So I'm not faulting them. I mean, but like the soundtrack, you know, the soundtrack for Breath of the Wild, the tunes that they use, sound very much something like that belongs in a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. Well, you know, in a lot of those games, they got to get their inspiration from somewhere, right? But there's, like we said earlier, there's a difference between inspiration, homage, and just ripping somebody off. So
yeah, I still, even though I like to hate on Breath of the Wild, I still think it was inspiration.
Right. Yeah.
I just wish there was more music in the game, personally.
Right.
But then again,
I mean, there is, because I'm looking at the CDs right now. There's like 6 CDs for that game of music, or 5 or 6 CDs. So it's just you don't hear it as often because of like how huge the game is.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Yep, the big open spaces that I was talking about earlier, the way they make games now, like Skyrim and things like that. Yep.
Well, gentlemen, we're gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna go straight into our ending, or outro, I guess you could say. So, I appreciate you guys hopping in and doing this live stream with me, talking about the music of Castlevania. It's definitely changed my life now, you know, like 30 years later after this game has been around. And I know it's changed Dempsey's life, like ever since he started playing as a kid. And I guess Castlevania, like whatever it is with you, like you know about it, which is good as any Nintendo fan. So
It
And,
just joined the, in my opinion, just for me, it joined the repertoire of, just many classic games, and that's part of the reason why Castlevania. I mean, I'm not going to say the music was the only thing. It was obviously the gameplay too, and the game mechanics that contributed. But the music, I think, music plays a big part in the appeal of the game. I know. I think a lot of people overlook it, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
yes.
I
Yep.
completely agree. Yeah, bad music can really ruin a game.
Yes, because if it doesn't appeal to the senses, then why are you going to want to play it?
Agreed.
Yes.
Yep. And there's only two that you can really come at. There's only two senses. You've got sight and hearing, and that's pretty much it. And if half of them are going, ugh.
I mean, have you ever tried to taste a video game?
No.
I mean, unless it was an NES, game. Besides blowing into it, maybe you decide to lick the dust off. Gross. But I'm talking about myself. I never did that. I
know a guy, but
who knows the guy?
Okay. Well, before we close out, I want to give you guys a chance to shout out what you've been working on or what you are going to be publishing soon, and any future live streams or videos or whatever. So I'll start with Mr. Castlevania Soundtrack.
Okay, well, my real name is Nerdporeal, but thanks, AngryCanadien for playing ball with me and making me feel comfortable with my assumed name and everything, because that's why I decided to identify as today. But yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing. So the next episode of Picard is going to be dropping tomorrow, or actually within like 6 hours. But I'm going to be doing my live watch of the second episode. So we already did episode 1 last week. So episode 2 is going to be this week or tomorrow. And I believe I'm going to be doing this at 7 Central, roughly the same time, maybe 8 Central. I'll have to see what time I did last time. But it'll be me and Steve, Prophet of the Dragon, and we're going to be reacting to the new episode. And everybody's been saying season 3 of Picard, the people who've gotten early access to the first 6 episodes or all 10 episodes have said this was a great send-off for the Next Generation crew. So that's why I'm watching it, despite New Trek being really shit, pretty much. Excuse my language. But yeah, I'm going to be doing that. We're going to be doing a live watch tomorrow, and then Friday is going to be a discussion about the episode. And then on Sunday, I'm going to be doing my final Wheel of Time stream for The Great Hunt, which is the second book in the Wheel of Time series. So nice. Stay tuned for that. And then video wise, been meaning to do an Eye of the World review, but I need to resume my Metroid retrospective, right, Dempsey?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have something going for that.
Yeah, so I did start writing it, but I started writing this months ago, so I have to kind of get back to it. And plus, I promise, when I make a video, a retrospective or a review, I usually tease the next video game or movie retrospective, and so I teased stuff months ago. So I have to really work to deliver, and I have time now to do that. So I can, I'll have to deliver that. So I have a Metroid review, or first Metroid game, and Zero Mission retrospective I want to do. Nice. And then 2001 Space Odyssey is my next movie review. So stuff that I promised a while ago that I need to deliver upon. So
cool.
That's what's going on with me. Huh? Oh yeah, it's easily Nathan. Like, he likes it more than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he is not a fan.
He is not a fan of that movie, and he's been continually telling me that he's not a fan of that movie. I'm a big fan of that movie.
Yeah,
it took me several watches to be a fan of that movie, but I became a fan of it eventually. It's weird enough that drew me to it, right, AngryCanadien?
Yes. Well, it hooked me in the first time I watched it, and I watched it just recently too. So that was a really good movie.
I can say it did not hook me in right away, but then again, I was 12.
Okay.
And I didn't even know these type of movies existed.
Yeah, it's a decently slow burn build. So I could see why that would
understatement.
Right. So
Yeah.
I could see why a 12-year-old wouldn't be completely interested in something like that. Although it is pretty cool to look at.
It is. I agree.
So,
and for the 60s, wow, it looks very
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Agreed.
Well, Dempsey, how about you let us know what you're working on or what you're going to be producing here soon for us?
Okay, well, let's see. I've been gone for a while, so I just came back recently to YouTube, and let's see. We dropped a video on my channel not long ago called Prodigal. We did that for multiple reasons, so we got that, and then say I've dropped 2 more today, and we've got this podcast going on. And I do plan on having more podcasts coming soon. And there is a background project going on with the White Cloaks that I've been doing for a while.
I'm
And
wondering
like,
what that is.
right?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to know. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Pips ordered you not to tell me anything about it.
That's right.
Because I'm reading the series. I'm reading the books right now. So.
Yep. Well, and it's not my information to give away.
No.
So I'm just going to go ahead and do my thing and let them have at it when they're ready for it. I'll be there. But I will say that it's been a lot of fun working outside my comfort zone. If life not being so stressful, I probably wouldn't have had to take a break. But everybody knows how that goes. So, but myself and my son have been working on music, and I'll be working on some more music here for. I don't know if you know this guy or not, but this guy named TheNerdporeal Lifeform.
I hear he's a hack. He's a hack and he's a fraud.
I hear he's
unsubscribe from him.
No, man, I became a member of his channel and my shoes went up one size.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You should go join the Nerdporeal Continuum. You should.
I heard like, you know, like if you're bald, you know, your hair grows back, and
well, three of them. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a good start. It's a good start. You got to keep going. It's 3 a month. Right?
Like Steve, Prophet of the Dragon is the best story. Like he says, he became a better father. He's became better at video games. Where his son Easton's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Awesome.
Heck yeah. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to be out in the chats trying to support the people that are doing the content that I can get behind. You know, I'm just tired of all the mainstream stuff, so I'm going to put my energy and time into you guys. So
appreciate it.
You'll see me talking smack in the chat.
It's the same. It's the same with me too. I've really stopped. I mean, I stopped by to listen to people talk about Picard season 3, but that's pretty much it. Like I don't listen to FNT or really. I barely listen to any of those guys anymore.
Yeah.
Not because I dislike them. It's just I'd rather spend my energy listening to, you know, my friends.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, you guys are entertaining. It's not like I'm stopping by and like having to force myself to be there, man. I just show up and it's a good time.
Well, I force them to be there because
I'm blinking twice. Help me. No, it's been a lot of fun being in the chats, man. There's some good people. You guys have great communities. So I've been having a blast, man. Thanks for having me around. It's been great.
Yeah, I appreciate both of you guys coming on and doing this with me. I put your guys' like social media and YouTube in the description of this video so people can check it out later and go see what you guys have been working on. As for me, I do a weekly Friday night or Saturday morning Japan time video game stream playing through Fire Emblem Engage right now. And I'm working on a third video for rediscovering our love for the music of Halo 3. It's been a little slow because I've been like doing all this like prep for this show and like the live stream I do every weekend as well. So I'm hoping to get that out here soon. And then of course, we got to talk about the next episode. And the next one is going to be, how do you say this? Not like a crash and burn type of one before we get to the big episode, because I already talked to, I don't know if I talked to either of you about this, but in April, since the Mario movie's coming out, I really want to do an episode on Mario. And of course, there's a certain Nerdporeal person that would I need to have on the show with me. So definitely want to do that.
You want to know what part of my excitement for this Mario movie is? Unlike the Sonic movie, and I don't know why they did this, but the Mario movie has the themes from the games.
Yeah.
Like the musical themes from the games. You know the musical themes. Mm-hmm. Something that the Sonic movies did not.
Yeah.
I was hearing 70s Barracuda by heart. Why am I hearing Barracuda by heart in a Sonic movie? I should
Not
be
Green
hearing
Hills.
freaking Emerald Hill Zone.
Yes.
With that awesome bass line. I want to be hearing that stuff.
Yes.
I want to be hearing
Yes.
Chemical Plant. I want to hear,
Mhm.
What's a great Sonic 3? Ice Cap or
There you
Launch
go.
Base. There's so much iconic Sonic music that they didn't include.
Right.
That's pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much my only issue. They're fun films. They're kids films.
Hey, that's member
Yeah.
berries done right,
Yeah.
done
Mhm.
correctly.
Yes, yes.
Musical member berries will probably always work on me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Yep. I'm with you.
So yeah, for next month or March, my goal is to do a episode on Fire Emblem, the first two games, and I'm going to try to introduce people to the music in those two games. And then April will be Mario, and then of course May will be Zelda because of the release of Tears of the Kingdom. So I'd like to have you back on for that as well, Nerporial, for the Zelda episode. And obviously, Dempsey, you can join either of these streams. It's up to you.
Nice.
The door's always open for you, but
Appreciate
that's the
that.
roadmap for the next 3 months is to do those 3 episodes.
Only on one
by the
condition.
way.
Dempsey has to be nice to me, and he has to say like I'm the greatest channel ever. Just kissing my butt the whole time. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Hey, I'm great at lying. I'm great at lying, man. We can do this thing. I'll be there, dude. Hey, I'll do whatever has to happen. By the way, I did speak with Mags, and Mags said that she would be interested in coming on as well. So whenever you feel like having her on, she said she'd love to show up. And I hear that she may or may not be really versed in Final Fantasy.
Yes, I would like to.
Final Fantasy VI in particular.
Yes,
Yes.
I would love
Yes.
to dive into Final Fantasy with her, and it would be a fun episode. And there's some other episodes out there too, like Pokemon with Woopa Troopa, and I have to find somebody for Sonic. But yep, so that's the roadmap for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I could do Sonic too. Final Fantasy, Sonic, I could do those easily.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've been listening to Six's soundtrack repeatedly, like within the last couple of weeks. I've been listening like all these great themes from that game. And there's a lot.
Yes.
Like I'll be honest, Final Fantasy after Nobuo Uematsu left Square, the soundtracks were not the same.
Agreed.
Oh, okay. When did that happen? I'm not familiar with that.
He
actually.
left after 10. He left after Final Fantasy X. I don't know if he
Oh,
did
wow.
10 too, but he left after. He left 20 years ago. He left 19 years ago. So he hasn't been with the company in that long. So
That just made me feel really old.
yeah,
Has it really been that long?
Like, he was doing the Final Fantasy music from the very beginning, from the very first one, 1987. So he's been with the company for a very long time, and he's worked on every Final Fantasy up to 10.
Man.
And he contributed, I think, 10 tracks to Chrono Trigger.
Really?
Because
Oh,
Yasunori
yeah.
Mitsuda, which is another great series I'd love to talk about too for Chrono Trigger. He got sick. He worked. I mean, maybe you can speak for this, but Japan's work culture is work, and you're a good person, and keep working.
Yes.
Keep working.
Yes,
keep
until
working.
you drop dead.
In this case, Yasunori, he was younger and he was really trying to prove himself. It was like his first ever job doing composition was for Chrono Trigger, and he got stomach ulcers, and he was he from all the stress of working.
Right.
So
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he lived there. And he just got sick to the point where he just couldn't work. He went to the hospital, and they had Nobuo come in and contribute 10 tracks, and I know what those tracks are actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. That's cool. Yeah, that sounds a lot like what they do to their mangaka too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! If you ever watch a video of Osamu Tezuka, the Godfather, the father of manga, this was in the late 80s. He was living in a bunker trying to complete a manga. And he couldn't, and he was just like, he was struggling, like he barely was eating, and he was trying to fall. He's trying to take a nap, and he couldn't do it, and it looked like a nightmare. And he ended up getting cancer, and he died young. He died at the age of 60.
Oh man!
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a terrible story. Or horrible. Man, I hope that his family was okay. I can't imagine work
I think
environment
they were.
like that,
I think
man.
they were because he made some. I mean, like everybody drew from his everybody drew from his influence, like his artwork, his storytelling. Like he can make the most wholesome, series like Astro Boy, and then he can make the most effing darkest stuff I've ever read in the form of MW or Moo, which is a manga I read, a 70s manga. It has a lot of tropes that are, kind of cheap by today's standards, but it was what I read was so dark. Like it's not for kids. It's not even for people that get easily offended by stuff. Like it's dark.
Right.
People are getting sexually assaulted. It's effed up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stuff with kids. It's not for everybody.
Right. Well, yeah, a lot of comics are that way too. I would say that almost made me think of The Killing Joke when you said it that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw the movie. I never read the comic, but I saw the movie.
Same. I never read the comic, but that's super iconic. I suppose I should get on that, huh?
Yeah. You got it.
This was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for the discussion. I had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a blast. Before I go, I want to highlight just the people that showed up, and then we're gonna do the outro clip, and then we'll be done. So I want to thank Steven Doller. He's one of my mods, one of my buddies. Oh, that's me. Pops, Pop Culture Mechanic. Thanks a bunch, buddy. The lovely Krista Dempsey as well. Thank you for showing.
She told me Star Trek sucked once because I said something you guys liked sucked.
Oh man!
And I was I'm like, what's a Star Trek?
That's great. Wakizashi, thanks for coming, man. Whoopa, Whoopa, thank you for coming. Mrs. Dadman, Walking 55. Brandon, of course, Brandon the anime guy. Alex Moore. There's a couple more. Hold on. I'm trying to scroll through all the. Your Barmy.
Yeah, your Barmy.
Your Barmy. Where are you? Oh, Nosferatu. Thank you for showing up. And
he must have reported like millions of streams for that. I know he's reported mine several times.
Yeah. Prophet, thanks for showing up.
Prophet's an asshole. Don't even.
We love Prophet. He's good stuff.
Yeah, I love him. It's a love-hate relationship. We stream together because because we're forced to.
Well, once again, thank you, everybody. Again, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. It's been a real blast. We'll send everybody off with this final clip, and we'll hang out back. So once again, I'll see you all in the next live stream and the next video.
Stay nerd.